Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining. This is day two of Oracle integration training, and yes, today's session we will talk about different versions available in Oracle integration. That specifically we are working for generation two and generation three and version two, and obviously we will see that navigations and all, and what look and feel they added additionally in generation three. We will discuss on that. In the same session only, we will talk about integrations pattern available in OIC, that what kind of all types of integration we can create. We are going to learn, and in last we will just create our first integration. So generally we are using two kind of integrations in our most of the project that can be app driven and schedule. So in this session we will first cover app schedule integration, and then upcoming sessions we will cover uh, app driven too. So let's start with this differences available for generation 3 integration instance and version 2 available in OIC. So generally for OIC integration instance, so for generation 2, we are generally saying that version 2, and they later they added new version, so they are saying that generation 3. So that is generation 3, and it was this is the version 2. So the first that home screen you are able to see that this is for generation 2, and in generation 3 they changes the look and feel by applying the theme of Oracle Redwood. So Oracle Redwood is an Oracle technologies where they just change the look and feel, navigations and all. So same features you will be able to find in Oracle Fusion too, that most of the Oracle Fusion modules and pages they converted into Oracle Redwood. So it is design canvas or design a screen where we are designing our applications by adding actions and elements in all these things. So when we are creating Oracle integration applications, we require most of the we require actions and all. So you can see this is that generation two having that kind of a screen, but when we are moving to generation three, that look and feel it's going to be completely changed. Obviously, it's because of that the template they are using for Redux. So you can see here we have that action available and all these actions available for generation 2. Same we have here in generation 3. In generation 3, they added a few more actions available, just like we discussed that that object storage action they added in generation 3's canvas page only. So that kind of things we are going to cover. So let's see from that Oracle instance page only that how it's looking like that, and we can continue for that only. So let me see here. So you can see this is our Oracle integration generation 3 instance, and this one is Oracle generation 2 instance. So generation 2 or version 2, whatever we can decide. So first we discuss that generation 2. So here you can see, as I told you earlier, that generation 2 will not be available in upcoming days. So it is going to be remove generation 2 from that system. So when you will migrate your system from generation 2 to generation 3, they will allow you 4 months of time to do all the checkups and all, so that after 4 months they will demolish this generation 2 instance for your environments and all. And obviously you are going to get a message regularly until you will migrate your instance to generation 3. And obviously before migrating your instance to generation 3, you have to check all this feasibility, that everything is your system is capable or not, all the dependencies and all whatever is there. So even you can by clicking here you can check. So right now I'm not able to see here, but yes. So before migrating to generation 3, there are lots of things you have to be take care about. So that's about generation 2. So if you will see that this is the navigation bar from where we are navigating. So the same way, like we are using these integrations to create our integration application. That's why we are moving to integration tab. In the integration tab, we have all the components. That components cover integration, which we are application we have to create, and connections, lookup, packages, agents, adapter, and libraries. All these components we are using in our Oracle integration application. And if you will go back, you will be able to find that B2B application here, Visual Builder, and PCS, that is Process Cloud Services. So as in previous session, we discussed that Oracle Cloud offers three services, that is Oracle Process Cloud Services, Oracle Visual Builder Cloud Services, and Oracle Integration, which we will learn in our session. So all these are there. So here you can see we have monitoring tab by which we can debug our integration. We can just check that log messages, error out integrations and all these things. The same we have in Oracle Integration Generation 3. So we'll see that one also. So let's move to the integration and I will show you that one common integration or generic integrations created in the system so that you can have a look on that. So here you can see this is an integration created. So I will just open this integration to just show you that canvas where we are designing or drawing our application. So when we are opening that integration, you can see this is the page. So this is quite simple in generation 2. These all are the endpoint we added. So in there is one term we are using endpoint. So in integrations, whenever we are saying that endpoint, it means that in your integration, whatever things you are able to see here, that all are comes under endpoint only. So this is our first endpoint, this is second endpoint, third endpoint, fourth endpoint, and obviously we'll discuss that too in deep when we will create our integration. So this is the endpoint, that FTP connection endpoint, and this is the mapper endpoint of that connection. So that kind of things we have. This is the condition statement using switch in OIC. We will learn all these things. So these are the things. So if you will see that each and every integration having multiple connections we can use. So for checking the connections, just if you click here, you will see list of connections created in your OIC instance so that any of the connections you want to use, you can use here. So all these are the connections created in the system. If you will see AS2 adapters, quant is 1, it means that there is only one connection created with this adapter. FTP, there is 52. So there are total 52 connections created using FTP adapters. All these things are there. Same way here we have that action. So all these action, using this action only, we are going to design our Oracle integration application. And yeah, this monitoring and that the variable we are creating global variable here and all these things we have. So the same way you can see this integration canvas here. So layout is in horizontal. If you want to change to vertical, you can just go here and you can change your integration canvas to vertical. That kind of things you can do for repositions and all. So in generation 3, this reposition change just change to cut, copy and paste. So this you can see using this reposition, you can change the position of any endpoint from this position to any other position. In generation 3, they added that copy and cut copy features in generation 3. So let me close this one. I don't want to do any changes. That's why I will not save anything. I will just discard the changes. And let's move to the Generation 3 instance. So again, you can see this is our homepage of Oracle Integration Generation 3. And again here, in Generation 2, we are navigating to that the integration tab. Then we are able to see all the components. Same way we have in Generation 3, we have design components. When you will click on the design, you will be getting all the components available for your integration. Design is something that consider here as integration. And in these integrations, we have components available that we discussed, right? So that connection endpoint is the connection here. We have lookups, we have libraries, packages, agent, and adapters available. So that if you want to check the adapters and their capabilities, you can obviously you can go and check. And here one more things available there is event. You will not be able to find this event in generation 2 because that's in generation 2 when creating integration we have that different patterns that is that published to OIC subscribe to OIC, but in generation 3 they remove that one. So obviously most of the people are new here, so don't worry about that what I am talking about events and all. When we will create the integrations, you will get to know all this point. Just for brief, I am just showing that one, so what all things are there in this instance. So if you will go to connection, you will be able to find all these connections here and that integrations. So which all integrations we already have created here, you will be able to find. So you can see this is the integrations which we saw yesterday to just transform the data file from file server over email and insert data into table. So this integration applications work for that. So these all are the that available that canvas or design for generation 3. If I will edit any of the integrations, so let me edit this integration. So deactivate that integration and then I will just edit this integration. And you can see this is the design canvas of integration generation 3. So the display everything, they're the same. Here you can see just like in generation 2 we have mapper. So here also we have the mapper. This is the FTP endpoint. that FTP connection endpoint to get the data file server, and this is the mapper for that. So mapper we are using to provide the information, provide the data to that endpoint. So we'll learn all these things in upcoming sessions. So the same way, by changing that word, that horizontal to vertical, here we have option to just click here and the design will be changed to horizontal to vertical and all these things here. So same way, once you will click here, it will be changed to one. And here you can see, once you will click here, it will display that in the horizontal with that few information about related to that endpoint, which all we are using. So just for brief, so generally we are using this horizontal way only. And here you will be able to see the few icons. That icons is for cut, copy, paste, and all. So that if I want to change the mapping here to here, so just you can click here. You can click on the cut icon, or just you can click on this three dot. You can go for cut, and then later whenever you want to paste, you can go and you can paste that endpoint to that places. So that's in the filters are there. We will learn all these things one by one. And here you can see this is the same app connections created here in the system. You will be able to find all the connections. Even you can search your connection here. And this is the actions. So all the actions available here so that we can use that action here in our integration. That assign action, data storage, logger, that's the healthcare one, and the loop calling that we can invoke another integration inside and integrations for this one here. Integrations, we can invoke our JavaScript functions, this library we created. OCI functions, that cloud infrastructure, we have function availability. So we can use that cloud infrastructure function here, object storage and point that we discussed. This is that publish event. So like as event, we have to create first event, then using that publish event, we can capture that event in OIC so that it can be considered as a subscribe to OIC or publish to OIC. That kind of things are there. So these all are the differences for OIC Generation 2 to Generation 3 related to that UI navigations and that look and feel, whatever we have for that. So this is all about Generation 2 and Generation 3. So now in upcoming slide, we will learn about Oracle integrations patterns. So when we are saying that patterns, you can consider as a type. So integration type, what all types of integration are available in Oracle integration. So let first I will show you that in Generation 2. So in Generation 2, we have total 6 type of integrations, or that it's six patterns available in integrations. And like you can make a note of that point too, that most of the interviewer, they ask that kind of questions, that how many types of patterns available in OIC to create integrations and all. So all these 6 patterns are there. That basic, the first one is basic routine. That is quite simple. That in basic routine, just you have to add that the source target, source endpoint and target endpoint without any data manipulation or without any validations. So it will just add that source to target mapping, so that so it will pick something just like file transfer or any messages or any endpoint you want to add. So that's we have for basic, and publish to OIC, subscribe to OIC, file transfer, and that most commonly used, that is schedule integration and app driven integration. So the same way it moves to Generation 3, and in Generation 3 they remove that public to publish to OIC and subscribe to OIC, and they make a single as event, that event having the flexibilities to create integration, which we can achieve for that publish and subscribe to OIC features. And yes, this application is same as that app driven integration, and schedule is same as that schedule orchestration. So here we have in this Generation 2. So these are the integration pattern available in integration. So as we already discussed, that basic routine is something that it will just having that flexibilities to add that source endpoint and target endpoint in integration. You cannot have, you don't have flexibilities to add that logic in that integration. So it's quite simple that you will add that source and target endpoint and provide that mapping, and that's done. You cannot have more flexibilities to add one and more endpoints in this integration. So that's quite simple integration. So that's why, like, whatever things you can achieve using basic routine integration, same thing you can achieve using app driven integration or schedule integration. That's why, like, we don't need that basic routine integration. That's why they remove that from OIC. So here you can see, if you see that this basic routing integration having this two endpoint source as target, same you can achieve using app-driven integration or schedule integration. So the same way we have published to OIC and subscribe to OIC, and that publish to OIC and subscribe to OIC. Obvious that same thing you can achieve using app-driven to schedule also, and if not, then we have that event pattern in OIC generation 3. And if you will talk about the file transfer pattern, so say file transfer is also the same. So getting file from source system, transferring that file to a specific target system or multiple target system, that file transfer can do. And whatever operations that we discussed can do in file transfer, same we can do and we can achieve using app driven and schedule. That's why like most of the day by day, it's going to remove all this file transfer, publish to IC, subscribe to IC, basic routing, everything. Because the all these features, whatever is there for these remaining patterns, can be achieved using this two powerful app-driven and schedule integration. So in whole session, we will more focus on app-driven and schedule only. So just for brief, I've given you overview on this file transfer and all. So basic routine we got to know, and publish to IC. Even you can just it is inform that the diagram only that we have one publisher integration created, and this first you will create publish to OIC integration, and using that publish to OIC integrations, you are going to pass a message to that another integration which can subscribe your message. So you can see publish to OIC is sending the specific message, and other integration that subscribe to OIC integration is created, which is going to receive your message. So it's quite simple that your single publish to OIC integration can be used by multiple subscribe to OIC integration. So that's the differences. So in simple term, if you will see, publish to OIC is something that is sending the message, and subscribe to OIC is something that receiving that message sent by the publish to OIC integration. So before creating your subscribe to OIC integration, there should be publish to OIC integration already created, so that you can use that publish to OIC integration in your subscribe to OIC, so that you can subscribe their message in your integration. So when we are saying subscribe, it seems it's in simple words, receiving that message, and publish is something that's sending the message to another integration. So that is that. File transfer is quite simple, that I told you that file transfer having that flexibilities to add and point. And it's not only that, just like basic routing integration, we can have that only one source endpoint and one target endpoint. But in file transfer integration, we can have one source endpoint, and that one's obviously we will have one source endpoint, that is trigger endpoint, and it can have multiple target endpoint added, so that at single time they can, based on the logic and all, they can transform that data into different target system. So that's about file transfer integration. And most of it, that is schedule integration. So the schedule integration is integration application which is having much flexibilities, and which can perform all the actions performed by previous integrations. And when we are saying that schedule integration, so there can be sometimes we have requirement that create application or integration application, it will execute on any specific time, every day, every 10 minutes, or like whatever like time duration we can say. So if we have such kind of requirement, then we will go for schedule integration. Schedule integration having few benefits and obvious few demerits having that integration, that when we are talking about schedule integration, it is asynchronous integration. And when we are saying that asynchronous integration, it means that schedule, when we will create schedule integration, it will not return any value in response. So in schedule integration, we cannot have any response value. Just like we are creating any integration, that integration we will pass any specific value, based on that value that integration will work, and we expect that the integration should return some value in response. So that kind of things we cannot achieve in schedule integration. So schedule integration having their limitation, that it can take few values, so few values as a parameters, but it cannot return you any specific value. That's why this integration is also known as asynchronous integration. And yes, schedule integration having more flexibilities, that it can run up to 6 hours. So if you require any integration which can have like more actions added and more processing added in integration, and it can go beyond that time limit. So then you can use schedule integration. So I told you that schedule integration having the flexibilities to run that integration up to 6 hour maximum. The same we have that app driven integration. So yes, app driven integration having limitation. So when we are going to create app driven integration, that integration cannot run more than 5 minutes, that is 300 seconds. So if you want to create an integration which can be like just doing transformation of data, doing performing actions, and you know that that can be completed within that 5 minutes, go for app driven integration. And one more point, that app-driven integration having the flexibilities, that integration can be triggered by some other application. So if you want to create your application or Oracle integration application in a such a way that any other third-party system can invoke your integration, you have to go for app-driven integration. Another point, that if you want to create integration in a such a way that while running that integration, you will pass some values, and in return of that values, your app driven integration will return some response. So that kind of things you can achieve using app driven integration. So in simple terms, app-driven integration is app-driven integration can be synchronous integration, which can take values and it will return you values in response. So when we are saying that app-driven integration can be synchronous, it means that you can create app-driven integration also asynchronous. That app-driven integration will run, it will take your data, but it will not return any data in response. Yes, it is possible in app-driven integration too. So a few differences, that schedule integration will not return any values. That's why it is asynchronous integration. App-driven integration can return values, and when app-driven integration will return values, that time that integration will be considered as a synchronous integration. The time limit, when we will talk about time limits, so schedule integration cannot run up to 6 hours. That's the maximum limit, and maximum limit of app driven integration is 5 minutes. So your app driven integration cannot go longer 5 minutes. If you added logic in your integration and that logic is taking more than 5 minutes, your app driven integration will be completed in error and it will not process further beyond the time. So maximum time limit for app driven integration is 5 minutes, but one condition, by adding that integration is returning response. If you created app driven integration and your app driven integration is not going to return any values, it means that your app driven integration is asynchronous integration, and it will go up to 6 hours, same as the schedule integration. So we will see all these things in our upcoming sessions too. And that the most like added point in generation 3, they added the features of event, and that obvious whatever you that publish to OIC and subscribe to OIC can do in generation 2, the same thing we can achieve using generation 3. And in generation 3 we have event kind of concept, that using event we can achieve that flexibility. So for that, first we have to create event in integration, and once we create event in integration, that event we can publish and we can subscribe in OIC using that action available in that OIC canvas. So it's about Oracle integration generation 3 and the Oracle integrations pattern available here. So now let's move to that Oracle instance, and where we will create our first integration. So while creating our first integration, so we will go for schedule integration, and we will create our first schedule integration. Then in next session we will go for creating app driven integration. So before creating app driven integration, we have few dependencies, so we will learn about that dependency, and then we will go for app driven integrations. So before starting to that schedule integration, let's have a brief on that integration. So schedule integration in Oracle having flexibilities, so that that integration can be executed on a specific time. We schedule and we don't want like user, we don't need to run that integration again. So we will schedule that integration on a specific time interval. On that specific time interval, schedule integration will execute automatically. That's the benefit of schedule integration. And yes, it's having the flexibility. If you want to run your schedule integration on ad hoc basis, you can run. So when we are saying that ad hoc basis, so ad hoc basis is a term when we want to forcefully run that integration on a specific time or any at that current time. For example, right now we create a schedule integration. We schedule that integration to run on every 2 hours, and obviously it will run, that integration will execute automatically on every 2 hours. But we want to run that few cases, right? Few just for testing purpose or few emergencies cases, we want to run that integration immediately. So yes, schedule integration having flexibility to run that integration, and that concept is known as ad hoc basis running. And yes, in schedule integration, we have parameters option. So parameters is something that value we can pass while running the integration. So you created a schedule integration and you want to pass some values to your schedule integration while running. Yes, you can pass that values known as parameters. And in OIC schedule integration, we can have up to 5 schedule parameters. That's also interview questions. You can make a note that most of the interview they ask that how many parameters we can add in schedule integration. So just up to 5, we like that's the maximum limit we can add parameters in our schedule integration. And also when in schedule integration, when we are passing values, so that values having limitation, and that limitation is 256 character. Your parameters value cannot go beyond 256 character. And we already discussed about the hour limit. That schedule integration can run up to maximum 6 hours. And obvious schedule integration is like asynchronous integration, and it will not return you any values. And when we are talking about that schedule integration, and we can run that schedule integration on any specific time by scheduling that integration, so that having or limitation, that's having the limitation. So for scheduling the integration, schedule integration, we have scheduler. So using that scheduler, if you will schedule your integration, so the time limit is 10 minutes. So that's the minimum time limit. So minimum time interval. So you cannot schedule your integration below 10 minutes using scheduler. For example, if you want to schedule your integration on every 15 minutes, yes, using integration scheduler, you can schedule your integration. But if you want to schedule your integration to run for every 5 minutes, you cannot do that using scheduler. That's why we have iCall expression. So with the help of iCall expression is something that a set of code, or we can say syntax, using which we can schedule our integration on any specific time and any days and all. If you have to a specific logic, we can add that one. So obviously in interviews also they are asking that what is iCall expression and how why we are using that expression, and also you can just simply give them reply if we want to schedule an integration below 5 minutes or before 10 minutes of interval. It's not possible to schedule integration using integration scheduler. That's why we require iCall expression to schedule integration on a specific time. So let's see and we'll create our first app schedule integration. So this is our OIC instance. So let me go to the home page. So this is the home page. So when you will log into that OIC instance, you will get this home page. From this home page, even you can create integration directly just by clicking on this create integration. But we'll prefer to go to design. And in design, we have various components there, but we want to create integration. So I will just click on this integration tab. And once you will click on the integration tab, so all the integrations created by your user will listed here. So by default, filter is added here. So you can see updated by Fox Oracle App Solution is our OIC user. So these 3 integrations are created by this user, or that last updated by this user. That's why it's listed here. So if you will remove the filter here, that all the integrations available in this instance you will be able to find. So here, if I will click here, so you can see in the instance there are too many integrations created, and you can see all these integration. So that's the viewpoint. So obvious, like your instance, this OIC instance, may various people can have used, right? And they create different integration. You don't want to check all this integration, right? So you can just simply go click on this filter icon, and you can add filter that updated by your username, or any specific user you want, you can add. So that all this integration here in the list will display that updated by this user. We can have different filters also. You can sort your integration by this. You can see the name and the last updated by. You can search integration by created by to. So if I will add filter here by created by on in created by, so it can be possible that integration we created, but some other user have updated that integration. So in that list, that integration will not display. That's why generally we are moving and checking that last updated by, so that we can see that yes, this is the integration. And also you can search or you can filter your integration list of integration here based on that status and the type, what kind of type is there, and based on the style, that event, schedule or event base. So that's basic. Now for creating our integration, just we have to click on this create button. Here we have import button to import integration from another instance. We will cover this later. But now we have to create integration. So you just click on this create button. So once you will click on the create button, it will ask you to select the integration pattern, which we discussed, right? We discuss about application type pattern. We discuss about schedule patterns and the event. So this time we have to create schedule integration. For this, we'll go and click on the schedule. So once you will click on the schedule pattern, you will be able to find these details. So out of all the details, these two details are the mandatory you have to provide. So the first one is the name of the integration. So if you will see, yesterday we created one integration, and the name of the integration you can see FOAS. So each and every project having their own naming convention, and they follow that convention, right? So different clients and organization using their different approach. Most of the client using XX first two character as a XX, and next to the two character or three character as their client project name. So here, we have FOAS. FOAS means that Fox Oracle App Solution. So like why they are following that naming convention, so that they can easily identify, right, that all the integrations created here. So I will again use the same approach, FOAS, that Fox Oracle App Solutions underscore. In name, you can use a space, but I always prefer to use same name as that the identifier, so that it can be easy for us to track all this name and all. So this is that the project code, that FOAS underscore. Next will be the integration code. So here you can see INT001 is our integration code. So this is our second integration, and let me use another INT002. So it's not mandatory to use the same, but yes, generally in project, whenever we are creating integration, that each and every integration having their identifier, their unique number, so that it can be, it's not possible that every time go and when we have to check integration, take complete name, right? That's why we are giving short name as integration ID to the integration, so that it can be easily identified. So FOS underscore INT002, and here this you can see IN. This IN, it means inbound, and OUT I will use for outbound. So when we are saying that inbound, this means that we are getting data in OIC from somewhere else. That is inbound, right? And when we will say outbound, so we are transforming data using OIC to somewhere else. So most of the time when we are talking about OIC, we are just connecting OIC with Fusion application. So when you have to transform data to Fusion application, that will be inbound. When you have to extract data from Fusion application and you have to transform the data to third-party system, that will be outbound. So that kind of things can be there. So as this, I'm going to create simple integration which will display log message. So either it is not inbound and outbound, but it will go for IN, that is inbound only. And now here we have to give the name, that what kind of work or action that integration is going to perform. So this integration we are using just to display the logger. So I will use logger and underscore. You can use this integration type 2, that is schedule integration, SC for schedule, AP for app driven. It depends on your project naming convention, right? Whatever that project management decided to use. So in this our learning process, I will follow this one only. You can use anything you want, right? So here given, so you can see whenever you will use a name, based on that name, automatically ID will be generated. So this is like most irritating things with generation 3. So when you will open your endpoint and you will do anything, suddenly it will close, right? Because we don't have to do anything. So by if you will click here, that will be removed. So that kind of things are there, but yeah, it's fine. So this is name, this is identifier. So there is the difference between name and identifier. In name, you can have a space, but in identifier, you cannot have a space, right? One more thing, in a single instance, this is our instance, right? In instance, there can have multiple integration with same name, but identifier cannot have same. So in integration, each and every integration will have different identifier, that is unique identifier. Identifier cannot be duplicate in your instance. Remember, identifier cannot be duplicate in your instance. And yes, in some cases it will be duplicate, but yes, it will be based on that integration version. So that's why we will learn integration version 2. So as today it is our first integration, I'm not going to be care about versions. I will give you brief on versions too in our upcoming session, right? So this is integration name, this is integration identifier, and this is version. So you will find one more common thing, that whenever you will talk about integration identifier, it will be merging of integration identifier plus integration version, and that version is that major version. So major version is 0, so it will be like identifier name, your SC underscore 01, so that it will be unique, right? So that kind of things we are going to learn in upcoming days. Now here we have document URL. You can provide any URL for reference or anything, but it's not mandatory. We will skip in our integration. Here we have keywords, so you can provide any keywords here. Keyword is something that name, so that it will be easy for you to identify or easy for you to search your integration. So for example, if you want to search your integration, so you obviously you have to go and you have to give your name here by searching, but you can search your integration by keywords also. So for example, this integration is schedule integration, so I will use SC as a keyword, so that whenever I will search SC, so all this integration having SC keyword will list down here, right? So this is the package. So I told you that package is something that is going to use to combine multiple integrations together, right? So here I will use package. So if you will provide a name here in the package, if you will provide a name which is not or available in your integration package, what it will do, it will create new package with the same name. And suppose if you are providing any package, for example, this is package, right? com.rest. I selected this com.rest from LOV. It means that com.rest package is already created, and our integration will be just go and merge with this com.rest. I don't want to do anything, so I just want to give new package. So FOAS is our package dot SC. So I want to create a new package with FOAS.sc name, and all the schedule integration I will add under this package only. So FOAS.sc, that's schedule. So now move here, and here is the description of your integrations. You can give your brief introduction, a brief description of your integration, that what integration is going to do and all, so that if other developer comes and they want to debug your integration, by looking for the description only, they can get to know about that your integration, that what kind of work this integration is going to do. So I will just give that date, today date, as 10 12 sorry 12 10 2024, and I will give the name as integration to print the log message. And now here you have to click on this create button. So once you will click on this create button, your integration will be created and it will display you canvas. So you can see, so once schedule integration is created, you are able to see the two endpoints in your canvas. So here you can see I'm just making zoom in, zoom out. So you can do this zoom in, zoom out in your canvas by using mouse. So you just have to click on the control button and you just have to scroll your mouse wheel. So you can scroll your mouse wheel up and down to make it zoom in, zoom out. So this is the thing you can do in your integration canvas. Another thing here you can see in the left hand side, we have plus icon to make it more zoom, and you have minus icon to make it zoom out. So that kind of things, yes, we can do. So and obviously we have these two features that to make it fit in a screen. For if we have multiple endpoint added there, all these things will be added in fit to a screen. And yes, if your screen is having too much large or too much small, you want to make it 100%, you can just do from here on. So this is our canvas. So one point you can make a note. So whenever we will create a schedule integration, by default we are getting two endpoint. The first endpoint is schedule endpoint and another one is stop endpoint. This is a stop icon or a stop action, So I told you that in integration, whatever action elements you will add, that will be known as endpoints. So in our schedule integration, right now we have two endpoints. The first endpoint is schedule, another endpoint is stop. So this time it's showing in horizontal way. If you want to make it vertical, you just click here and your integration will be come in sequence like this. So you can just change by clicking on here also, right? So now here we have to display the log message, just like in coding we are doing and printing any messages. So if you want to print the log messages, just for reference purpose, so that you can check where is your control, what kind of value that control contain and all. So you have to add a action here. To add the action in OIC, you have two ways. The first and common way is just you can go and move your mouse nearby where you want to add, and you can see the plus icon. So once you will click on this plus icon, it will give you option to search your actions. So you can see this all invoke comes under all the connections are there. If you will click here, all the action you will be able to find, and even action and connection you can search by here also. So in integration, there is one logger action, LOGG, logger action. This logger action help you to display the log message at runtime. This logger will help you to display the message at runtime. So I will just click here. So this logger will be added in our screen. So here you can see, this is our schedule endpoint, this is our stop, and between these two, we added logger. So logger is displaying here, right? So here you can see this is the logger, this is the end action, and logger one is the name of this endpoint we added, right? So you can change the name of this endpoint. So you can see this is the logger one. So just click on this pencil icon or edit icon, you will be get option to edit. So I will edit the name as this is the logger, and if you want to display the name, so I will give that name underscore logger. So this is the naming convention I always follow, right? So the first word is that the something is going to define that what kind of things or what kind of action we are going to do with this endpoint. And second one after the underscore is the endpoint name. So that in the activity stream, when you will debug your integration, so just by looking the name, you will get to know, okay, this is logger, this is message of logger, this that kind of things you can identify. That's why for each and every endpoint I am adding, I am just giving the endpoint name in last as underscore. Even most of the project you can see they are using that endpoint name as in a starting, that they are using logger underscore the name, what kind of thing they are going to do. So they are going to display the message, so it will logger print name, that kind of things they can use. So it's depend on you. You can use endpoint name in a start, you can use endpoint in last, whatever you want you can do. And this is just by name of this endpoint, this is not related to your integration anymore, this is just for that identification purpose, right? So obvious, like we know, we heard this point various times, that a good developer is not the one who is just writing the code or good logic. The good developer is the one who is creating the code, who is writing the code in a such a way so that any other developer can easily debug their code. So obvious we'll try to follow that way only, so that any other developer will comes, by just looking the name, they will get to know that what kind of work that is going to do and what is the endpoint, is logger, is different action and all. So here after that you can add description, it's not mandatory, and just we'll skip, we don't want to do any description here. So this is our name, that logger underscore print name. And here you can see we have option to display that log always, or when tracing level is enabled to set to audit or anything. So obvious logger we are adding to display the message, log message while debugging integration. So I will select always only. So what is the difference between always and tracing enable? I will explain you in upcoming session. So here you can see logger message. This is the point. This is the text box where you have to write your message. What kind of message you want to display? That message. If you want to display any hard-coded message or the fixed message, you can just use single quotes and provide your message. So I will provide a message like, hey, this is our first program, our first integration. I will use first integration. So the single quotes define that this is the string. So when you will start single quotes and when you will add that single quotes, it will consider complete as a string. So this is our value. So when this integration will execute, this logger will display this message, hey, this is our first program. And this is icon. Once you will click on this icon, your message will be removed. So whatever value you added here, that will be removed. And this is that setting icon. So once you will click here, or you can say the developer icon. So once you will click here, you will be able to add the values. You will be able to change the values here. And by clicking here, your value will be fixed. By clicking here, you will be enable this endpoint to in edit mode, right? So let it be the same. So just for making done, right? So it's completed, right? We don't have any option here to just submit or done or okay, right? So for this in generation 3, what we have to do, you just have to click outside this scope, right? Outside this design. So you click here, it will save changes and it will display this one here. So this logger added. So let me add another logger, right? So I want to add another logger here. So before displaying this message, right? Hey, this is our first program. I want to display message as my name. So what I will do, I will again click on here. So as I told you, to add any action in integration, you just have to go where you want to add, and whenever you will see that plus icon, click there and search your action, right? This is first way. Another way to add the action is just click in this action icon. So once you will click on this action icon, you will be able to find various action, right? So whatever action you want to add here, just select that action and drag action here. So I want to select that logger. So I will search logger. Where is logger? So this is the logger, right? So I will click here and I will drag this logger where I want. So here you can see it's showing that not available option. So I will find, yeah. So when I click here, you will be able to see this plus icon, right? Somewhere we are getting, yeah. So just drop this here. So once you will drop this here, you will be able to see this one endpoint added here, right? The logger endpoint. So now again, I will change the name of this endpoint. So I will change the name of this endpoint is LOZZ. Logger is the action name, and the what it want to do, I want to do with the logger and print name. Print name. Done. So here it's throwing an error because the same name we already used here. You can see logger underscore print name. So in your integration, two endpoint cannot have the same name. That's why it's throwing an error. So what I will do, logger developer print developer name. Make it tick. So this is going to save. And now here we want to display the message. What message you want to display? So I want to display the message as finding is suffer. That's done, right? So just you have to click outside so that it will save. So here you can see I have done a slight mistake. So the logger name I given logger underscore print developer name. That's fine, right? That's cool. It's showing that this logger is going to display the developer name. But here you can see we given message as logger underscore print name. This is our endpoint name, which is not correct, right? So this is fine. Integration will work perfectly fine, but this is not the correct way of providing the naming convention. So this endpoint is going to display the message, right? Not the developer name or print name. So I will just remove there. I will give the name as logger underscore print message. Save. And I don't want to change anything here. Just click here. So now you can see the endpoint name change print message, print developer name. So now this integration is done. Our integration completed. So what we have done in our integration. So in our first integration, we added two endpoints. That logger first endpoint is logger to display the developer name. Another endpoint is that logger to display the message what we provided, right? And this is the endpoint which is saying that integration is going to stop, and this scheduler is going to help this integration to start running, start execution, right? So in schedule integration, this scheduler endpoint is a trigger endpoint. Remember, trigger, it means that starting endpoint, right? So in schedule integration, this scheduler is a trigger endpoint, which is going to trigger this integration, which is going to start this integration, right? So this is done and save. So once you will save, your integration status is displaying here. You can see the status is in draft, right? So this is first integration status. So your integration is in draft status, which means that in your integration somewhere there is one error or there is an error. So in your integration, it's mandatory to have minimum one business identifier. Make a note of this point. In our integration, it's mandatory to have minimum one business identifier. So what is business identifier? That business identifier will help you to debug your integration, will help you to track your integration. So we'll cover this in more details in upcoming session. But just for completing this integration, so I will add one identifier. So in generation 3, how you can add your business identifier? So just click on this icon, eye icon you can see. So once you will click here, you will be able to see the business identifier, right? So this is one business identifier, second and third. So in a integration, there can be maximum 3 business identifier or minimum 1 business identifier is mandatory, right? So in integration, maximum 3 business identifier and minimum 1 business identifier is required, right? So here you have to provide any variable so that that variable value can display at runtime, and here you can see the variable name, you can change the variable name. So this is a tracking variable one. I don't want to change this name. I will change this name later when I will display the debugging integration. So here we have to provide the business identifier field. So you have to provide any variable here. So right now we don't have any variable, but if you can see in scheduler, we have schedule time, right? That is a start time. So you can just drag this start time here. So once you will drag this start time here, this start time will added here, and the name is changed to a start time. Even you can change this name, but let it, I don't want to change anything here. So just make it here. So one business identifier added, just you have to click outside. So once you will click outside, error got removed. You can see we had error earlier here, that error is removed now. So once you will save here, the integration status is changed to configure. So remember, when your integration is in configure status, when your integration is in configure status, this configure status, then only you can activate your integration or you can run your integration. So our integration is in configure status, it means it's okay to run. So I will go back. So here you just have to click on icon to go back. So now once we came back, you can see this is our new integration, and this is the status of integration is configure. So when our integration having configure status, we can activate that integration. To activate this integration, you just have to click on this power icon. So once you will click on this power icon, you will get option to activate. So while activating the integration, you will have option to select 3 tracing level. All this tracing level help us to debug your integration, to see the log message. So we will discuss this in deep in upcoming session. So right now I will select this debug also. You will also select debug, right? So just click on activate. So after clicking on that activate, you will see few messages and everything is fine. In few seconds, your integration will be activated. You just click here to reload your integration. So you can see even it will not take more than 1 second to activate, right? So it's based on integrations. So whatever integration you created, how many logics you added in your integration, it will take that much of time to activate. So it's activated. Even you can load this page from here in this load icons too. So now our integration is in active status. So when our integration is in active status, we can run our integration. To run our integration, you just have to click here in this three dot, and once you will click on this three dot, you will get option to run. So you just have to click on this run. So once you will click on this run, you can see you are saying that message ad hoc request. So this ad hoc request is something that you are going to run in your integration as ad hoc basis or immediate basis, right? As I told you, this is schedule integration, and schedule integration we can schedule to run on any specific time interval. But this time we want to run this integration immediate basis so that we can see that what integration is going to work, right? So this is the user by which this integration is going to execute or going to run. This is the type of integration run which you are going to run, and just you have to click on this runs. So once you will click on this run, your integration will be executed, and whatever active log message or whatever instance or action your integration is going to perform, you can see in the log message. So this is the log message, right? So now here you will see the benefit of giving the good name, a good or correct endpoint name. So you can see this is our logging message, right? So in the log message, we are not able to see the endpoint name, right? So what kind of endpoint is there and all. Right, and even if you will see here, we have the logger, but it will be possible, right? We in our logger we added in our integration we can add multiple loggers, and how you will identify this message is for which logger. So just by looking the name, so this is our name logger underscore print developer name. It means that we know that this this logger message will have the developer name, and this logger message have the message what we display. So this is the one, this is the activity stream by which you can debug your integration. You can check that integration activities and all, what kind of things they perform. So this is icon to refresh your activity stream. This is icon to make your activity stream bigger so that it will cover all a screen and you can debug your integration in better way. This is the icon to download that message, this activity stream you can download. So I will just make it a bit slow. And here you can see instance ID. This is the main thing, right? We discussed in generation 2, we had this instance ID as numeric value, but in generation 3, that instance ID cover that alphanumeric values. And that instance ID was the hyperlink. So once you click on that hyperlink, it's opening your new page and you will be able to see this. Everything is green. It means that we don't have any error. Control comes here till here, right? All these things works. Now we have to check that message. So just click here to see the log message. So this is activity stream icons. Once you will click here, you will be able to see the activity stream that triggered schedule run. Your schedule is triggered or started. After that, it's process the messages, whatever we share. So right now we didn't share any message. It will not say anything. After that, this is our logger. So you can see this is our logger. This is our second logger. This is our second logger, and that and this is and. So processing completed successfully. Now, what kind of message this endpoint store? So you have the I icon. So once you will click on this I icon, so what kind of value this endpoint store, you will be able to see. So my name is Zafar is the value this endpoint store. So again, if you will see, click on this I icon, we will be able to see another log message. This is, hey, this is our first integration. So this second endpoint store that message, right? You can download this log. So once you will click here, your log will be downloaded. You can copy the log. Even you can see that if you have multiple lines, you can click on here so that it will display you the line. So this is our first integration and the basic integrations we created. In next session, we will learn more about integrations. In next session, we will learn about adding the values while running this integration, what value we can pass. So that's known as schedule parameters. So in next session, we will learn how we can add parameters in our schedule integration. So thank you so much, everyone. If you have any queries and you want to ask anything, your stage is open. You can unmute yourself and you can ask. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much again.